So I was working with a client recently who was really struggling with being stuck, having writer's block, and then being confident enough to get their ideas down on paper. And I think the biggest sticking point is that when authors get to this point, there's a lot of fear and imposter syndrome that creeps in. Am I going to be a good writer? Are people going to like this? Is the story even worth writing? What if my ideas aren't worth getting out there? But in all truth, writing is taking that particular reader and moving them into the sphere that you're imagining in your mind. So if you're stuck, you're a writer who is in a spot where you just can't progress, hop out of that spot and try somewhere else. When I used to teach high school, I would actually have kids brainstorm. And what they would do is they would write down a word and then they'd pass it to their friend and they'd write down a word and we go around. And of course, we'd give them themes. Otherwise, you never know what you would get. And so, for instance, like maybe they would write down a color and then the next person would write down a name and the next person would write down a verb. And the next person after that would write down something that they heard, like a sound. And then the last person got that list and they would pull all that together. Now, this is like extreme creative writing. And probably if you're trying to write a story, you're not doing that extreme level. You're just trying to get the idea down on paper. That's where you really start. What do you want this character to experience? Well, I want my character to experience a hard day at school and overcoming it. Okay, what does this character experience? What is the hard thing at school? Well, maybe you have lots of ideas. Write all of them down. Nobody's going to be upset with you for writing down multiple ideas and not using them all. Now, what are the things that the character experiences emotionally? What do they see? What do they hear? What does it look like to them? What are they feeling when they're in these situations? Okay. Who are the people that the character comes in contact with? What are they experiencing? What are they saying? What is that moment? And all of these chunkings that can occur when you write the story give you insight into the character, because that's probably what you're missing is how is this character feeling and what am I trying to prove or accomplish by telling the story? Okay, I'm going to assume that this story is going to end up well because it's a children's story and we want to feel good about things. So what is the character going to do to resolve the story themselves? In my opinion, it's super important for kids to see that the character, the kid, solves the problem themselves instead of having the adult come to their rescue. Now, let's say we get this story down. We get, okay, I know this character, he's at school, he's having problems. He is not tall enough to reach his locker. He's not big enough to be included in some of the activities that the kids are doing. And maybe he's somebody who has a quiet voice and just doesn't get seen. He's forgotten. Okay, we can talk about all kinds of emotions. We can talk about how this character feels left out. This character is frustrated. This character wants to be noticed. This character has big ideas that aren't being heard. Who is coming to the rescue? Well, a fellow student, a friend is coming to the rescue, or maybe a parent notices there are problems. But this kid wants to do the solutions themselves and solve the problem. So how will they do that? Well, 3 problems, there might be 3 solutions. What are 3 solutions that this child, this character could come up with to solve their problem? Now you start to have an interesting story that starts to develop, right? So the next step would be actually to write the possibilities down. Maybe it's 3 separate sheets of paper. Maybe it's 1 page with 3 columns. Whatever it is, start writing the story down. And then when you get the story down, go back and visit those creative pieces. How do I make this more alive for people? How do I make them understand this character's perspective? What are they thinking? What are they feeling? What are they experiencing? What do I want the reader to know in order to better understand this story? And suddenly you're in the middle of a story up to your elbows and that writer's block is gone. That's how you get through it, by getting words on paper and trusting that these words and these ideas and this image that you're trying to create will eventually give you the story that you can actually put into a book. But all of this counts. Every single word, every single idea counts, and none of them are wrong. They're just part of the process. Really, writing and getting out of writer's block is a journey, it's a process, and it's one that you don't want to avoid.